We're a group of young Chinese socialist artists. We choose socialism because we're individuals highly affected by the changing society. Back in the 1990s, China set its only national goal the development of the economy, the increase of GDP, inviting global capital and developing science and technology. The old school Marxism of Leninism that regards social welfare as its basic purpose was de facto abandoned. Thus, the young generation born after the 90s is faced with a problem typical of capitalism. The increased unemployment rate, shocking real estate prices, increasingly expensive medical care, fierce competition, and heavy 996 workload. What accompanied this high-rate economic increase is not any dream of utopia. On the contrary, it is the loss of every purpose other than earning money. As individuals, we are born to be confused idealists. When we were young, we were taught by Marxist doctrines. Justice is to provide everyone with a social support to achieve happiness. When we grew up, sadly we saw a speedy train that has lost its purpose. Increased wealth brings monotony and fierce exploitation rather than universal prosperity. The real at the moment seems to have forgotten the promise it made at first. We are immigrants, first as inner immigrants. We are young drifters in Beijing, China's capital city, from remote hometowns. Then we're global immigrants. As international students live in the US trying to find a place in a globalized market. We feel the current ways in major cities, both in China and the US, are problematic. Immigrants are struggling under the same difficulty to support themselves. Cities such as New York and Beijing promise to be universally open, while they burden newcomers with the most low-quality living conditions. Immigrants live in tiny rooms in the suburbs with poor urban facilities, and the employment market is cruel to them. How many are passed over for a job while having identical qualifications except their being an immigrant? The circle is closed. In both countries, the political and economic resources are owned by the 1%, and the path to individual success provided by the liberal capitalist ideology does not make any challenge to the most obvious social injustice. The longer we live our drifting life, an increasing feeling of the same problem around the world arises. All the past critique, past debate, and past theory seem to divide this world too much. Yet as living beings, as drifters through life, we find everybody thinks of the same thing. How to survive in a world if its economic purpose is just scientific stories told by the super wealthy. Whereas heavy burdens in an ordinary person's life must be borne only by the lonely individual, and society refuses to offer support, offer guidance, offer discussion, or offer organized actions, also as to encourage individual freedom. The system is strong, the individual is weak. To be honest, we're not Superman or Batman with millions in family inheritance. The only possible way for ordinary people to make some change is to come together, is to care about each other, and to express everyone's concern. We're observers of urban drifters' living conditions. We're observers of the lives of vulnerable young people, and idealists seeking for common struggling against the same trauma happening in every country.